Welcome back, my dear friends. Once again, I am back with one more novel of Thomas Hardy, that is The Hand of Ethelberta. This novel of Thomas Hardy is quite different in comparison with his major novels like Far from the Madding Crowd, then The Mayor of Casterbridge, a pair of blue eyes that we covered recently. Why? Because this novel is a kind of a comedy novel, you see this. Why? Because see, what is the title of the novel? The Hand of Ethelberta, or Comedy in Chapters, 1876. We see no murder, we see no tragic incident, or events. The novel ends happily. So this novel, on the basis of these all just elements and these all features different in comparison with his major novels, but just as Far from the Madding Crowd, published in the Cornhill magazine, in the same manner, this novel was also serialized in the Cornhill magazine. So now let's look at the title of this novel and the summary of the novel and all the important characters of this novel and so many other important features related to this novel that are important from competition point of view. So now let's look at The Hand of Ethelberta, a comedy in chapters. This is the title of the novel. This was published in 1876, written in serial form for the Cornhill magazine. Remember, and who edited this magazine? Edited by Leslie Stephen, a friend of Hardy. He or she was a friend of Hardy. The novel is a comedy. Remember, the novel is a comedy. Unlike his major novels, I told you, ends happily. Since the novel is a comedy, and you know that the comedies generally end happily. The comedies do not have sad or tragic ending. So this novel is very different so far as the plot of the novel is concerned in comparison with Hardy's major novels, like I told you, A Pair of Blue Eyes, Far from the Madding Crowd, then his magnum opus, that is Mayor of Casterbridge. Then we have what? Then we have Tess of Village, so on and so forth. So now let's look at the summary of the novel and try and understand it. Ethelberta is raised in humble circumstances. So remember, Ethelberta is the central character of the novel. She can be called the protagonist of the novel. Why? Because she is the eponymous character. Why? Because she is the title character. Title character is called eponymous character, like Hamlet, like Macbeth. So Ethelberta is raised in humble circumstances. It means she is, you can say, raised, or she grows up. She grows up in a humble circumstances, means she has to suffer. She has to suffer financially. She does not have sound financial upbringing. Her upbringing is not like the upbringing of a well-to-do children, or children of well-to-do families. Why? Because lack of money. But what happens further? She works as governess. Governess, you know that. a caretaker. She works as a caretaker. Why? Because she does not have money to support or sustain herself and her family. And married at 18. And see, since she works as a governess and earns for her bread and for her family, so she marries at the age of 18. When she hits 18, she gets wed, she gets married. But unfortunately, her husband dies 2 weeks after their marriage. That is very shocking and sad for this young woman who marries at 18 and somehow has just succeeded in supporting or sustaining or balancing herself. She works as a governess and married at 18, but loses her husband, means her husband dies 2 weeks after wedding, 2 weeks after their marriage. She loses her husband, now 21, and now at present, for the time being, at present, what is her age? At present she is 21, and in last 3 years since the death of her husband and what? Her father-in-law. What has happened to her? Now 21 lives with her mother. See, twice I have written the word. Her mother-in-law. Remember, she now lives with her mother-in-law, Lady Petherwin, the name of her mother-in-law. That is important. Remember the name of the characters, the name of her mother-in-law, Lady Petherwin. The 3 years that have elapsed since her husband and father-in-law's death, what has happened? Got many privileges, save restricted from seeing her family members who are poor. So see, since the death of her husband and her father-in-law, what has happened? She has got so many privileges, like she has foreign tour, she has gone to foreign countries, and so many other privileges she has got from her benefactors, but with one restriction, that is not to come in contact with her poor family members. She is not allowed to contact her poor family. Apart from this, she has lots of privileges from her benefactors. The events of the novel concern Ethelberta's career as a poet and storyteller. So she composes. See, she has a poetic talent, and she has the ability of storytelling. She is a good storyteller, and the novel is concerned all about the poetic career or the career of the storyteller of this young girl, as she struggles to support, remember this, support her family and hide that her father is a butler. You can say this, the head of a servant in the royal families, in a rich family. One who takes care of everything in a royal family is generally called a butler. So she has to struggle to sustain and support her family and hide this very particular fact that her father is a butler. Being beautiful and rational. So see, I told you she is beautiful as well as rational, means intelligent. She attracts four suitors. First, Mr. Christopher Julian, a struggling musician, Mr. Nee and Mr. Ladywell, both of the Mr. Nee and Ladywell are friends, and Lord Mountclair. These are the names of the four suitors that are very, very important for you to remember. First, what? First, Mr. Christopher Julian, a struggling musician. Then we have Mr. Nay and Mr. Ladywell. Both of them are friends. And last but not the least, Lord Mountclair, a 65-year-old old aristocrat, a noble, he belongs to a royal, or you can say a noble family. He's well-to-do. He has sound financial condition. Though he's 65 years old, yet he is a contender. He is a suitor to this young girl who is only 21. And see, to our great surprise, she elects him at last out of her four suitors. She at last chooses Lord Mountclair. He gets to know her humble background, and when she elects Mr. Lord Mountclair as her life partner, very soon he knows everything about her humble background, about her poor family, yet she succeeds in dominating him. She succeeds. Why? Because she is intelligent as well as beautiful, and using her brain and intelligence, she manages his estate. She runs his estate, handles and manages his estate in a smart and clever manner, and saves him from being bankrupt. She saves him from his bankruptcy. She runs his estate, I told you, and saves him from bankruptcy. Her suitor Christopher at last settles down with her younger sister Picotee. Remember this, that her one suitor, that is Christopher, at last decides to marry Ethelberta's younger sister Picotee and settle happily. Picotee loves Mr. Christopher for a long time. She is in love with him for years, and at last she succeeds in getting married. Who was in his love for years. So hope, my dear friends, you would have enjoyed the summary of this very particular novel. Provided that you have some complication, do let me know, and I would try my best, to clear all your complications and doubts. That's it in this video, my dear friends. Very soon we'll see again